The tavern was loud, filled with alien voices, music, and broken laughter. The air smelled of strong drinks and roasted meat. Bright lights from strange lamps glowed above the wooden tables, casting shadows on the walls. This was not a place where humans usually worked, yet one human moved quietly between the tables. He was young, tall, and carried himself with calm steps. He was only a waiter, or at least that was what everyone thought. The alien customers barely noticed him. To them, he was just another worker from a weaker species. But he had learned to stay silent, to keep his head low, and to serve the drinks without starting trouble. Tonight, however, silence would not save him. At the center table sat a girl with silver hair and glowing blue eyes. She was beautiful, but her face was red with drink. She had already thrown 2 glasses at the wall and was shouting at anyone who dared look at her. The other aliens kept their distance, whispering about her noble bloodline and her wild behavior. No one wanted to anger her family, so they let her shout and laugh. When the human came near her table, carrying another tray of drinks, her eyes locked on him. She smirked, leaned forward, and pointed at him with a trembling hand. "You," she slurred in her alien tongue, but he understood. "Bring me another." Stronger this time. He placed the glass before her without a word. But she grabbed his wrist suddenly, surprising him. Her hand was strong, even in her drunken state. She pulled him closer, her eyes scanning him like he was something more than a simple servant. The crowd went quiet, watching the scene with curiosity. The girl laughed and tugged at his shirt collar. "So serious, little human. Do you ever laugh?" she asked. The human tried to step back, but her grip tightened. And then, in one sudden movement, she ripped the fabric across his chest. The shirt tore open, the sound echoing louder than the music. Gasps rose from the tables around them. A few aliens cheered, expecting to see the human humiliated. But then the laughter died, because beneath his shirt was not the soft, pale chest of a common man. Across his skin was a faint mark, glowing softly like burning silver under the tavern's dim light. It was shaped like a circle, cut through by sharp lines, almost like a symbol no one in that room expected to see. The alien girl's drunken smile vanished. Her blue eyes widened, and the color drained from her face. She staggered back in her chair, staring at him as though he was no longer a servant, but something else entirely. The human froze, his jaw tight. He had tried so hard to hide this mark, to stay unnoticed. And now, because of a drunken girl, his secret was revealed. "Impossible," she whispered, her voice shaking. "That mark. It belongs only to the—" She cut herself off, realizing too late she had spoken too loudly. The crowd leaned in, waiting for her to finish, but she pressed her lips together. The human quickly pulled his torn shirt closed, glaring at her. He wanted to walk away, to disappear into the back of the tavern, but he knew it was already too late. Dozens of eyes had seen the glow. Dozens of whispers were already spreading through the smoke-filled air. The girl stood suddenly, her chair falling back with a loud crash. She pointed at him again, but this time her hand trembled. You are not just a waiter. You are." Her words broke into silence, as if naming him would bring disaster. The room pulsed with tension. Everyone wanted to know. Everyone wanted the truth. And in that heavy moment, the human's heart pounded with only one thought. His quiet life was over. The tavern had fallen into silence. The torn shirt still hung loose on the human's chest, and the faintly glowing mark pulsed like a living flame. Every pair of eyes followed it, wide with shock, fear, and curiosity. For a long breath, no one moved. Then the whispers began. "That symbol. I have seen it in old texts. No, it cannot be real. It is forbidden. He must be lying. Humans cannot carry such a mark." The human clenched his fists at his sides. He had spent years hiding in this colony, pretending to be nothing more than a servant. He had scrubbed tables, carried drinks, endured insults, all so that no one would notice him. And now, with one careless rip of fabric, it was all gone. The silver-haired girl stood trembling. Her drunken haze seemed to vanish, burned away by fear. She knew what the mark meant. She had read about it in stories her clan told at firelit halls. Only chosen warriors of the ancients carried such marks. They were symbols of power, of leadership, of destiny. To see it glowing on the chest of a human waiter was something no one could have imagined. "You," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You carry the crest of the fallen kings." The entire tavern froze. Some gasped. Some pushed back their chairs. A few even stood up and stepped away, as though the man before them was suddenly dangerous. The human's face darkened. He pulled the shirt together, but the glow still leaked through the torn fabric. He wanted to deny it, to say she was drunk and mistaken. But the way her eyes fixed on him told him there was no point. The truth had already broken free. A burly alien, covered in black scales, slammed his fist on the table. "Lies!" he roared. "No human could carry the crest. It is a trick, a cheap glow." He pushed his chair back and stormed toward the human. "Show us your power, waiter. If you truly carry the mark, prove it. Or admit you are a fraud." The crowd murmured, excitement mixing with fear. All eyes shifted between the scaled alien and the silent human. The human did not move. He kept his eyes down, his breath steady. Inside, his thoughts raced. If he revealed the truth, if he used the power hidden within that mark, everything he had tried to escape would return. Old enemies would come. Old wars would follow. The silver-haired girl's voice rang out again, sharper this time. "No, he's not lying." Her hands clenched into fists at her sides. "I have studied enough to know the crest cannot be faked. The glow is alive. It answers only to the one who carries it." The scaled alien turned to her, snarling. And what would a drunken noble girl know? Her face flushed with anger. She stepped forward, closer to the human, as if drawn by some invisible force. "I know what I see. And if he truly carries the crest, then he is more dangerous than any of us." The tavern shook with voices now. Some shouted that the human should be killed before he brought ruin. Others argued that he should be protected, that perhaps fate had placed him here. Fear and greed battled in every eye. The human finally raised his head. His gaze was cold, steady, and filled with warning. He did not shout. He did not explain. He simply said, "Forget what you saw tonight. If you value your lives, you will forget." But his words only made the crowd lean in closer, hungry for the truth. The silver-haired girl tilted her head, her voice soft yet dangerous. "You cannot run anymore, human. The mark has chosen you, and the galaxy will come hunting." Her words struck him harder than any blade. He knew she was right. He could not hide forever. The crest on his chest burned hotter, as though agreeing with her. And in that smoky tavern, with dozens of eyes upon him, the quiet life he had built slipped away like sand through his fingers. The storm had begun. The tavern felt like a cage about to break apart. Every voice, every whisper pressed down on the human waiter. The glowing mark still faintly burned beneath his torn shirt, and he could feel the weight of dozens of eyes drilling into him. The silver-haired alien girl had moved closer, her drunken haze gone as if it had never existed. Her stare was sharp, her lips trembling. She had shouted the name of the crest, and that alone had changed everything. The scaled alien, who had demanded proof, cracked his knuckles, ready to fight. "If you carry the crest," he growled, "then show us your strength, or die like a liar." The human kept his eyes calm. He had learned long ago that panic only fed the flames. But inside, his chest tightened. He knew that the crest was not just a mark, it was alive. It was a key, a curse, and a beacon. And if he used it here, in front of all these people, there would be no turning back. The girl suddenly raised her voice, her tone sharp like a blade. "Do not touch him," she warned. "If he is what I think he is, you would not survive a fight." Her words only angered the scaled alien more. He lunged forward, his heavy arm swinging at the human like a hammer. Gasps rang through the tavern. The human moved not fast, not with fury, but with simple practiced precision. He shifted just enough for the blow to pass, and with one hand he grabbed the alien's wrist. For a moment, the tavern saw nothing more than a man defending himself. Then the glow spread. The mark on his chest flared, and thin lines of silver light raced down his arm, wrapping around his hand like living fire. Where his skin touched the alien's scales, smoke hissed, and the larger creature cried out in pain. The tavern erupted. Chairs crashed back, tables overturned, and voices shouted over one another. Some screamed to kill the human before he unleashed more power. Others whispered in awe, claiming the old legends had returned. The scaled alien stumbled back, clutching his burned wrist. His eyes, once filled with rage, now brimmed with fear. "Monster," he hissed. "You are not supposed to exist." The human let his hand fall. The glow faded slowly, retreating beneath his skin. His chest rose and fell with steady breaths, but his heart thundered inside. He had promised himself he would never let the crest answer. Yet here it was, alive and awake once again. The silver-haired girl stepped even closer now. Her eyes locked on him with something deeper than fear, something like recognition. "I was right," she whispered. "The crest has chosen you." He turned his gaze toward her, his voice low but sharp. "And you should have kept that to yourself, but it was already too late." Outside the tavern, sounds stirred. The commotion inside had drawn attention from the streets. Heavy boots clattered on stone, and the doors creaked open as armored guards pushed in, their weapons glowing faintly. The captain of the guard scanned the room, his helmet reflecting the tavern's light. His eyes locked instantly on the human and the half-burned alien. "What is the meaning of this?" He barked. Every alien in the tavern pointed at the same man. "Him, the human. He carries the crest." The human's stomach sank. His secret had not only been exposed to drunkards and wanderers, but now to the law itself. The captain's gaze hardened. "Seize him." In that instant, the human knew the quiet life he had fought for was gone forever. His only choice now was to fight or be taken. The silver-haired girl leaned close, her voice barely above a whisper, but sharp enough to cut through the noise. "Run if you must, but remember this. You cannot run from the crest. It will always call to you, and others will come for it." The guards raised their weapons. The tavern held its breath, and the human decided what he must do next. The tavern erupted into chaos. Chairs crashed, voices screamed, and guards pushed through the smoke and spilled ale. Their weapons glowed with blue energy, humming like angry wasps. The human stood in the center, chest rising slowly, eyes steady. He had known this moment would come one day, but not like this, not in a drunken tavern, not because of one careless rip of his shirt. "Seize him!" The guard captain shouted. The first guard lunged. The human dodged, swift and calm, sliding past the armored figure. His hand brushed the man's shoulder, and the faint glow of the crest sparked again, leaving a burning mark on metal. The soldier staggered, shocked, his weapon slipping from his grip. Gasps spread through the crowd. The aliens closest to the fight scrambled back, knocking over tables to put distance between themselves and the glowing man. The human knew he couldn't fight them all. Every second wasted here meant more soldiers would come. His only chance was to escape. He ran. His boots hit the tavern floor, scattering broken glass and spilled drink. The doors burst open as he shoved through, slamming into the night air. Cold wind bit against his torn shirt. The streets outside were alive with noise. Markets were closing, lanterns glowing in narrow alleys. People turned in surprise as the human sprinted past, followed by shouts of soldiers and the clatter of their boots. "Stop him!" Voices cried. "He carries the crest." The human's jaw tightened. Every shout was like a knife. The more people heard, the more the secret spread. Soon the whole colony would know Dot behind him. Energy blasts lit up the night, striking walls and carts. Sparks flew, and alien merchants dove for cover. He ducked into a side alley, sliding between two stone walls slick with moisture. His chest burned where the crest lay hidden. Glowing faintly through the fabric dot, he pressed a hand against it, whispering through clenched teeth. "Not now. Stay quiet." But the mark pulsed harder, almost alive, as if mocking him. The alley opened into a wider street, and he nearly collided with someone waiting in the shadows. The silver-haired alien girl. Her glowing eyes locked onto him like she had been expecting him. "You're running," she said, breathless but calm. "Good, I'll guide you." He froze. "Why would you help me?" "You exposed me." Her lips curled in a sharp smile. "Because if they take you, they will kill you. And the crest does not die quietly. I don't want to be here when it screams." He didn't have time to argue. The sound of boots was already echoing down the alley behind him. The girl grabbed his wrist and pulled. "Come, I know a way." Together, they darted through twisting alleys, climbing over crates, slipping past shuttered doors. The guards' voices grew louder, closer, the glow of their weapons casting shadows across the walls. "Faster," she urged, her silver hair flying behind her. They slid into another passageway, this one leading to the old part of the colony. Stone walls cracked with age, doors rotting, the air damp with forgotten smells. Few came here now, and that was their advantage. Finally, they reached a narrow archway leading into a broken courtyard. The girl stopped, her chest heaving. "Here, this will buy us time." The human looked at her, suspicion in his eyes. "You seem too eager to help." "Why?" She held his gaze. "Because I know what you carry. And if the legends are true, then your life is tied to mine. Whether you like it or not." Before he could answer, a shout rang out. Guards had spotted them at the far end of the street. The girl's hand tightened on his. "No more questions, run." The two of them darted into the courtyard, disappearing into the ruins as energy blasts tore the walls behind them. Stone crumbled, fire lit the night, and the hunt pressed closer. For the first time in years, the human's heart raced not from fear, but from the knowledge that his secret had awakened the world. And the world would never stop chasing him. Now the ruins swallowed them in silence. Broken arches rose above their heads, cracked stone walls leaning like tired giants. Moss crept over every surface, and the air smelled of damp earth and dust. No guards followed them here yet. The shouts had grown faint, echoing somewhere far behind. For now they had a moment of safety. The human leaned against a stone pillar, his breath heavy but controlled. His shirt still hung open, the faint silver glow beneath refusing to fade. He pressed a hand over the crest, as if trying to force it back into silence. The silver-haired girl watched him closely, her eyes reflecting the weak moonlight. Her cheeks were flushed, her breathing sharp, but her gaze did not waver. She had dragged him here, risked herself, and now stood as though she had every right to demand answers. "You can stop glaring," she said finally, her voice softer than before. "I didn't bring the guards. I saved you from them." He shot her a cold look. "You also exposed me. If you had kept quiet, none of this would have happened." Her lips pressed into a thin smile. "If I had kept quiet, that scaled brute would have killed you. You didn't look eager to reveal your strength. I gave you no choice." He turned away, scanning the broken courtyard. "You don't know what you've done." "Yes," she said firmly, stepping closer. "I do." The human's eyes narrowed. "Then tell me. Why help me? Why risk yourself for a stranger you humiliated in front of everyone?" Her voice trembled just slightly, but her words carried weight. "Because that mark on your chest, it is not just a story to me. My family has guarded the knowledge of the crest for generations. It is more than legend. It is prophecy." The human's chest tightened. He had heard whispers of prophecy before long ago, from voices he had tried to forget. "Prophecies are for children," he said flatly. "They made good stories for firesides, nothing more." Her blue eyes burned. "Do you think I'm a child? I know what I saw. That crest does not appear without reason. It chooses. And it has chosen you." He clenched his fists, turning away from her. The ruins pressed down on him, heavy with memories. He had tried to run from this, to bury it under years of silence and ordinary work. But fate had dragged him back. The girl stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You don't understand, human. That mark links you to a throne long lost. My people believe whoever carries it will either bring the galaxy to ruin or save it." Her words hung in the night like smoke. He laughed bitterly, though there was no joy in it. "Do I look like a king to you? I serve drinks in a tavern. I clean tables." She did not laugh. "You look like someone running from what he is." The silence stretched between them, broken only by distant winds and the drip of water from broken stone. Finally he spoke again, his voice low. "That crest is already destroyed enough. I swore I would never let it control me again." Her head tilted. "Again? Then it's true. You've used it before." His jaw tightened. He did not answer. The girl's face softened for the first time. "You're not the only one chained to it, you know. My clan was bound to the crest long before you were born. Maybe that's why I saw you tonight. Maybe that's why I couldn't walk away." He studied her, suspicion warring with reluctant understanding. There was something in her eyes, fear, yes, but also determination. Before he could reply, a sound echoed through the ruins. Heavy boots. The guards had not given up after all. Their voices carried closer, barking orders as lantern light flickered at the far end of the broken street. The girl's hand darted to his arm. "We can argue later. If you want to live, follow me." The human exhaled, the crest burning hotter beneath his skin. He knew he had little choice. The ruins would not hide them forever. The ruins shook with the sound of marching boots. Lantern lights spilled across the broken stones as armored guards closed in, their voices sharp and commanding. The human and the silver-haired girl crouched behind a shattered wall, their breaths tight in the cold air. "They're too many," the human muttered. "We can't fight them." The girl's eyes flicked to his chest, where the faint silver glow pulsed through torn fabric. "You can," she whispered. "The crest will not let you die here." His jaw tightened. He wanted to deny it, to insist he was only a man, but the mark burned hotter with every passing second. It was as if the crest itself heard her words and mocked his hesitation. The guards spread out through the ruins. Their weapons hummed with blue fire, lighting the dark like small suns. "Search every corner," their captain barked. "The human is marked. He cannot escape." The human closed his eyes for a moment, forcing his breath steady. He had promised himself he would never unleash the crest again. The last time he did, entire lives were lost, but now the circle was closing, and choice was slipping from his hands. A sudden shout shattered the night. "There!" One of the guards spotted them. Energy blasts hissed through the air, striking the wall above their heads. Stone exploded, raining dust and shards around them. The girl grabbed his hand. "Move!" They ran. Through broken archways, over crumbling stairs, dodging blasts that lit the ruins like storms of fire. The human's chest burned brighter with each step. He could feel it pressing against his veins, alive inside him, demanding release. 3 guards cut them off ahead, raising their weapons. There was no path forward, no cover left. The girl froze, panic flashing in her eyes. The human stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me." Before she could protest, the crest flared. Silver light burst across his chest, spreading down his arms like rivers of fire. The guards hesitated, fear flashing across their faces. Then he moved, his hand rose, and with it, a wave of silver energy surged outward. The ground trembled, The guards were thrown back as if struck by an invisible hammer, their weapons flying from their grasp. Stone pillars cracked and fell with a thunderous crash. The girl shielded her eyes, her hair whipping in the wind of the blast. When she looked again, her mouth fell open. The human stood glowing in the center of the ruins, his body outlined in light, his eyes burning silver. He did not look like a servant. He looked like something far older, far more dangerous. The surviving guards stumbled back in terror. The crest. It's alive. One shouted, "Retreat! Call reinforcements!" But the captain stood his ground, raising his weapon with shaking hands. "No, we capture him now." He fired. A beam of blue energy shot toward the human, but before it could strike, the crest answered. A shield of silver light rippled into existence, the beam shattering against it like glass against stone. Sparks rained down, useless. The captain's eyes widened. Impossible. The human lowered his hand slowly, the silver glow dimming but not gone. His face was calm, but inside he trembled. He had not wanted this. Yet the power had answered anyway. The girl stepped forward, staring at him as if seeing a god. You don't even try, and it obeys you." He turned his gaze to her, his voice heavy. "This is why I hide. Because once the crest awakens, it never sleeps again." In the distance, horns sounded. More guards were coming. The colony would soon surround them. The girl's hand touched his arm, her voice urgent but steady. "Then we cannot stay here. You cannot keep running from what you are. You must choose, either surrender to them, or let the crest lead you to what it was meant for." The human stared into the night sky, the stars cold and endless above. The crest pulsed like a heartbeat, louder than his own. And he knew the girl was right. The time of hiding was over. The horns of the horns of the horns. Colony echoed through the night like the cry of war. From every street, from every tower, guards poured toward the ruins. Their glowing weapons painted the darkness in blue light, while the people whispered in fear from their windows. The human stood among broken stone, the crest glowing like a second heart on his chest. The silver-haired girl stayed by his side, her eyes wide, but unafraid. She had seen his power, seen how it crushed armored soldiers like toys. But she also saw the weight on his face, the fear of becoming something he never wanted. "They will not stop," she said softly. "No wall will hide you now." His hands trembled at his sides. "I never asked for this. I wanted to live quietly. To be no one." The girl's voice grew sharper. "You cannot be no one. The crest does not choose shadows. It chooses kings." The word cut him like a blade. Kings. He remembered the last time the crest had burned through him. Years ago, in another war on another world. Cities had fallen. Friends had died. He had sworn never again. Yet here it was, alive, demanding. The first wave of guards charged into the ruins. Their weapons roared, beams of blue fire streaking through the night. The human raised his hand. Silver light exploded outward, forming a wall of energy that devoured every blast. The ground shook. The guards stumbled back in terror, unable to pierce the shield, but the human's face was twisted in pain. He could feel the crest pulling deeper, hungrier, as if it wanted to consume him entirely. "Do not fight it," the girl cried. "Guide it." Her words struck something inside him. The crest was not a weapon alone. It was alive, yes, but it answered not to fear, not to anger, but to will. And he had spent years running, never daring to guide it. He closed his eyes, drew in a long breath, and let go of the fear. The crest answered. Light surged across his body, brighter than the moons above. It wrapped around him in streams of silver, forming shapes armor like ancient kings once wore, a crown of flame upon his brow. The ruins shook as if the past itself had returned. The guards fell to their knees, blinded by the radiance. Some fled. Others dropped their weapons and begged for mercy. The girl stared in awe, her lips parting. The prophecy. It was true. The human opened his eyes. They glowed with the same silver fire. His voice rolled through the ruins like thunder. I am no king, but I will not be your prisoner. And I will not let this galaxy burn again. The captain of the guard, trembling but proud, tried to rise. You are dangerous. You will bring ruin. The human stepped forward, the ground cracking beneath his feet. No, I will bring choice. Something your rulers fear more than ruin. The crest pulsed once more, sending a final wave of energy across the ruins. Weapons shattered. Lanterns blew out. And then silence. The soldiers were broken, scattered, unable to rise. The girl moved closer, her silver hair glowing in the fading light. So what now? You cannot go back to being a waiter. For the first time in years, he let out a breath that sounded almost like laughter. No, that life is gone. He looked at her, his gaze steady. But neither am I a king. I am simply a man. And men can choose their path. The girl's eyes softened. Then I will follow you. For the crest has tied our fates together. He looked out toward the colony, where whispers were already spreading, where eyes watched from the shadows. He knew this was only the beginning. More would come: empires, warlords, seekers of power. But for the first time, he did not feel like running. The crest glowed one last time, not with hunger, but with quiet acceptance. The human straightened his torn shirt and stepped into the night, the girl at his side, ready to face a galaxy that would never see him as ordinary again. The age of hiding had ended. The age of the chosen had begun.